Yo, 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 art friends! It's me, Justin Mouse, and let's get into it. Um, Short introduction. Visual Studio Code will make your life way better for doing any kind of coding. So it would behoove you to install it, learn how to use it. I'm going to give some Mac-centric instructions today. If anyone needs translation to Windows or Linux, just let me know. Installing the program is straightforward. If you've ever installed anything on your Mac, go to the Visual Studio Code website, download the installer, drag it into your applications folder, and you're good to go. When we first open Visual Studio Code the first time, this is what we see. So it's kind of a welcome page. I'm going to click this so I never see it again. Notice up here there's a tab bar. This welcome page is open in a tab, and any files that we open are also going to get tabs in here. First thing, maybe something different from the way you're used to using text editors. In Visual Studio Code, you tend to think more in terms of opening a whole folder full of files at one time instead of opening a single file. So whenever we go into Visual Studio Code, we want to open a folder that all of our files are going to be in that we're working on our project from, whatever that project may be. How do you open a folder? You can go to File, Open Folder, or over here, there's a bar on the left side. The top button is your File Explorer. Most of the time, you'll want this popped open anyway, and it gives you another place from which to open folders. So I've made a folder called Sketches, 2 empty files inside for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we've opened a folder and we're getting a pop-up. It's my computer, my stuff. It's asking me if I trust myself. The answer is yes. I'm going to click this, so hopefully I won't see this again. And we see that the 2 files that are inside that folder that we opened are here now. If I ever need more space on my screen, I can hide it. Okay, this is a great place to jump in and out of things. So, if I click once on one of the files in my folder, I'll get it in a tab. The first thing I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit because I like things to be big. I'm going to hold the Command button and hit equals, because that's where the plus symbol would be. Alright, it's probably zoomed in enough. Now, what if you need to make a new file? What if there's nothing in your folder? And click New File. You can hit Command in. Alright, I just hit Command in. My file name is untitled-1. And I'm going to make the HTML file first, because we're talking about P5, right? All of our P5 sketches need an HTML file to display them. So let's go into the editor and find what we need. You ever notice this little arrow here? If you click that, you can see there is an index.html that tells the browser how to display your p5 sketch. I'm just going to copy this. Paste. And always save all the time. Always be saving. So when I hit save, I'm hitting Command S now. VS Code is very clever. It knows that I'm going to probably want this HTML extension for the file name. So I'll just type index, save it. Okay, another way in which it's clever, it's highlighted everything in this file correctly because it has correctly guessed that it's an HTML file. If this were JavaScript, it would know that it's JavaScript and highlight it accordingly. So that's one convenience. Okay, so to be able to look at the sketch that we're working on, we need to have the file name of our P5 sketch here. Okay, so if your sketch is called doodle.js, then you would just type doodle here so that when we're ready to look at it in the browser, this web page will open the right JavaScript file to show us our sketch. I'm going to call mine sketch. Always be saving. Another cool thing about VS Code is that you may be used to an old paradigm of once something is saved, you cannot undo something that you did before the save. VS Code is not like this. So if I just started typing ha 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 and then save it, I can still press Command Z and undo my ha ha ha. Okay, so the act of saving does not mess up your undo history. Yeah, so don't be afraid to save all the time. It will save your butt one day. I'm also going to just copy the sketch.js boilerplate so we have something to look at. Okay, so here's our gray box. Next thing we want to do is see it. Let's install Live Server. That's the name of a very popular extension for Visual Studio Code that emulates a web server. So what's a web server? A web server is just a computer in a data center that holds HTML files and JavaScript files and CSS files and serves them to you when you visit a web page. So every web page is being hosted on a computer called a web server. There's nothing particularly special about that computer, but because it's doing the job of holding these files and then giving them to any browser that asks for them, we call it a web server. The Live Server extension for VS Code does that locally, meaning I could be offline and it would all still work. It's like having a web server inside your computer showing you whatever web pages that you have the HTML files to show. Very helpful if you're doing any kind of web dev or, in our case, P5. So this button at the bottom of your little bar on the left-hand side is extensions. You can search it for live, what were we saying, live server? Yeah, if you just type live, it'll come up first. Okay. This is the one. It has millions of people using it. We can double check by clicking once. See its little introductory page. Comes up in a tab here. Yep, this is what I was looking for. I'm going to click install. And it's finished installing. So I'm going to close this tab. Go back to my file explorer. That's my habit, to have this on the side of my screen. And we have a new doohickey on the bottom menu bar, whatever this bar is called. It says Go Live. This button came from that extension we just installed. So anytime we have an HTML file, basically, that we want to see, we just click this button. And it will automatically open our computer's default browser and automatically load this in the browser. Whatever files are in the folder that we have open will be displayed by live server. In our case, that's index.html and sketch.js. If for some reason you wanted to kill the web server, you just click it again. And this is now cached, but if I try to reload, you'll see it doesn't work anymore. Yeah, don't show this again. So I'm just going to leave it open. One cool thing about Live Server is that it will automatically refresh whenever you click save on on the file you're working on. So, for example, I heard circles are good. I'm going to make a circle. Okay, I've made my circle. Now I'm going to press Command S to save. And automatically, Live Server has detected there's been a change to this file and hit reload for me, essentially. And now you are officially up and running. So let's recap. You want to start messing, or you want to start using vscode. You want to work on your P5 sketch. Okay. Open the folder where your P5 sketch is. That will show up here. Make a new file called index.html if you don't have one already. Copy this stuff from the online editor, save it. Make your sketch, save it. Click the Live Server Go Live button. Boom. You're seeing what you're doing. So now you have something that is giving you everything that you had before with the online editor, and then, as we will see, a lot more. Peace.